We need to talk about Tottenham Hotspur, Ange Postecoglou, the mess that the club is in, and then towards the end of the video, we will talk about maybe some of their January transfer plans. But Tottenham have messed up big time. Nearly 6 years ago, Tottenham were in a Champions League final. Poch had actually pretty much given Tottenham their best period with, high place finishes, finishing above Arsenal, and things were in a sort of good place for Tottenham. They said the journey was incredible and the memories will live on with us forever. It wasn't to be this time, but we're only getting started. Thank you for the support. We are Tottenham. We will be back. But the sad thing is, Tottenham haven't come back, and it's been 6 years. And there was a lot of positivity, I still think, after Tottenham lost the Champions League final, that they would be backed. But Poch, like every other Tottenham manager, doesn't get the backing he deserves. Poch gets sacked, new manager comes in, new manager gets sacked, new manager comes in, new manager gets sacked, new manager comes in, new manager gets sacked. They've gone through Conte, Nuno, Mourinho so quickly that then we're looking for a new manager. Tottenham couldn't find really anyone to bring in. A lot of managers were reluctant to join Tottenham, and they ended up with Ange. And it started really well to begin with Ange, but it's going very badly with Ange. And is he set to have that same fate? Well, we are going to talk about the news on Ange's future in a second. But Tottenham's last 11 Premier League games, I mean, the one win is versus Southampton, which is a 5-0 win. Draw to Wolves, draw to Fulham, lost to Leicester, lost to Everton. I think the loss to Leicester and the loss to Everton is the nail in the coffin, because at least Arsenal and Wolves are good sides, Forest are a good side, Liverpool's a good side, Chelsea's a good side, Bournemouth's a good side. Leicester and Everton aren't good sides. You've now lost the bad sides. The other ones, you can argue they're good sides. That is not good enough. If you look at Tottenham here, this is the last 15 games. It would put Tottenham in the relegation zone, although their goal difference says that they probably don't deserve to be in the relegation zone. And Tottenham have lost nearly every single game by like one goal. Like if you actually go back, like 1 goal versus Leicester, 1 goal versus Everton, 1 goal versus Arsenal, 1 goal versus Newcastle, 1 goal versus Forest, 1 goal versus Chelsea, 1 goal versus Bournemouth. Tottenham are not getting battered, essentially. Like they're in the game. And it shows that with a couple of players coming back fit, they probably get that goal to equalise and maybe get that win. And I think it's massively impacted by injuries. But it also shows a bit about the mentality at Tottenham, losing it by one goal. And I think that goal difference says that, while they are in the relegation zone, they probably are really about 12th, 11th place finishing with a few players coming back from injury. Season can recover. I don't think they'll get relegated. They'll probably finish about 10th. But it seems that everyone's just getting injured again. It seems that as soon as one returns from injury, everyone's getting injured again. They're not bringing anyone in. And the last 15 years from Tottenham has been appalling. To be there with Leicester and Southampton, with Ipswich getting more points than you, is appalling. I always say goal difference is a good, indicator of do you deserve to be there or not. But they have been absolutely appalling. Only Southampton have lost more Premier League games. Only Southampton have picked up fewer points. And only Southampton have conceded more goals than Tottenham. And Southampton are on track to be the worst team in Premier League history. And if we go back to this, Tottenham fans have been let down by their club. The Tottenham hierarchy, Daniel Levy, they have messed up big time. They had something to build upon, and they have messed up big time. And this year, I thought Tottenham had something. They had something to build upon. But yet again, they've messed up this year. Tottenham still haven't got as many points this season as they did in the first 10 games last year. Look at the games coming up. Brentford away, that's difficult. Man United at home, you'll probably beat us. Ipswich away, again, difficult. Ipswich are improving. Man City at home, you seem to beat them, though, to be fair. Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Chelsea away. I think Fulham away, Man City and Man United are your best chance of getting points just because you seem to do well against the Manchester sides. But I want to talk about Tottenham because I think that, again, Tottenham have messed up. Tottenham have something good going on, I think. And that's going to sound weird and contradicting me saying this, but what I mean is Bergvall, Gray, Mikey Moore, 3 brilliant young talents, Vuskovic to come in. Kulusevski's top player. Solanke, good player. Romero, Van der Ven, when fit, top players. You've got that Romero, Van der Ven, Bergvall, Gray, Kulusevski, Solanke. You've got some good names, some good players, some good profiles. And where Tottenham have messed up is they've not built upon that. They've not brought in, maybe some depth. for Mickey van de Ven, because Jaggerson isn't good enough. Maybe someone that's actually could sort of do what Mickey van de Ven does, so he doesn't have to play every game and pull his hamstring. Maybe you need some left-back depth. Why didn't they address that in the summer? Because while things are awful at Tottenham, I do believe they have some good players and they could potentially build something good. And while I'm actually going to be critical of their recruitment and not addressing what they needed, I think their recruitment in recent years has improved with Kulusevski, Bentancur, Doggy, I know not the best season injury, good player. Sarr, good player, but young, raw, dropped off the season. And I will say with players like Sarr, Bergvall, Gray, I always say it's hard to judge a young player in a bad environment. When they're in a better environment, it's easier to judge them. Do you know what I mean? But they have some exciting young players and they've played some good football at the beginning of the season. And Tottenham have had January to just get the season back on track. You're in a Carabao Cup final and they've just not acted on that. Hato of Ajax, I think, would have been a really good signing for Tottenham. So this is my thoughts on Tottenham. How can you get to January 27th and not make a signing when Tottenham are 15th, 8 points above the relegation zone with their lowest points per game in the last 75 years, lost 6 and drawn 1 of their last 7 games? The Tottenham hierarchy screwed up. Solanke, great signing, but he was the only signing that wasn't a teenager in the summer. Tottenham had a season last year where they dropped off, they had injuries, they were aware of the injury record, and the only signing they brought that wasn't a teenager was Solanke, who should have come in the year before to replace Harry Kane. He was a signing that came in a year too late. Bergvall, great, but you need those ready-made, experienced players. You needed the left centre-back cover, or maybe a hybrid that could have played a left-back. You also potentially needed, in my opinion, another winger. I think Son dropping off a bit. And I know you've got Yang and Vuskovic and all of that, but it's not good enough from Tottenham. You can't get Ange to rely on a load of 18-year-olds. In 2 years' time, Tottenham could be in a really good position with the young players they have and the talent. And Ange Postecoglou could be building something crazy at Tottenham. But he's not being backed right now. He's not being backed in the slightest. The injury curse is one of the worst I've seen. And I just do not understand how Tottenham have not acted in the window. I know Van de Ven and Romero could be on the way back, but they could get injured again. Crazy. But the thing is, Ange may need to go. And Ange is getting things wrong. Ange has messed up a couple of times. He's getting things wrong. I think the mentality at Tottenham, again, it's soft. It's weak. But let's be honest, they've got bigger problems above Ange. You sack Ange, and I'm saying this as a Man United fan, I know what it's like to have owners that are disgrace and don't care about the club. And, he also come in and it's a bit better, but then they don't really care about the fans. It's cost cutting. You'll hear about the Man United owners and the cost cutting. I know what it's like. And I will tell you this, Tottenham fans, you can sack Ange like you sack Mourinho, Conte, Nuno, Poch. But until the people above Ange change, Daniel Levy, it's not going to get much better. Sacking Ange may help you, and it may help you in the short term. But in the long term, the next manager will be in the position Ange is in if things don't change. And maybe Ange will need to go. Maybe he will need to go. Maybe it's done for him. But I will say this. When Tottenham had everybody fit, they were playing some good football. Earlier on in the season, Tottenham playing good football. It seems to happen with a Mickey van de Ven injury, then all the other injuries come in and Tottenham drop off. I think if Ange had the backing, if he had a bit of luck with injuries, I think he would be playing with football and Tottenham be in a really good position, having maybe a Newcastle-esque season. You look at Newcastle United last year, Eddie Howe close to being sacked. Well, I don't know if he was actually close to being sacked. The Newcastle fans turned on him, wanted him gone. Newcastle were playing some awful football. Look at them this year. I do think that injuries make a massive difference, especially when Tottenham, it's not like Tottenham losing 7-0, they're losing against by 1 goal. Having that Solanke fit, or, like a Van de Ven and Romero to stop maybe the goal they concede, that's points. And I think that I look at Tottenham and I think not like bringing in a new manager right now with the current players you have available probably doesn't make a huge difference. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision to bring in a new manager. You look at where Tottenham are at and the results and how awful it is, and you can understand if Ange is sacked. But I will say this. I think if you sack Ange and bring in a new manager, I don't think it's going to get better right away. I really don't. I will say this for a fact. Amorim's come in, yeah. And we're not getting better results than we were under Ten Hag. I think Amorim coming in was the right decision, but it's not gone up because they're Ten Hag's players at the end of the day. Someone will be dealing with Ange's players in a depleted squad. Sacking Ange in the summer for ECILA, potentially it makes more sense. But if Ange is sacked, the new manager has to deal with the same depleted squad, and I don't think things get much better. Amorim isn't getting better results than Ten Hag. So if Ange is sacked, you best wait until the summer. If you are going to sack Ange, make sure you have a good replacement lined up when it happens in the summer. I don't think there's any point in doing it now, despite you being awful. I think with Van der Ven and Romero coming back, you will pick up. I think surely he gets a signing. But the big question is, even if you sack Ange, who's going to replace him? Is Iraola going to leave Bournemouth for Tottenham? Is he going to leave Bournemouth? You just don't know. He's got something really good going on at Bournemouth. Tottenham, a bit like Man United, seems to be like managers, was this where managers go to ruin their careers, which is the sad truth. And I feel for Ange. I do feel for Ange a lot, because this is what he's saying after the match. On the final week of the transfer window, I've said all along the players need help. And I've also said the club are working hard in that area to try and alleviate some of the problems, because Pape Sarr shouldn't have played today. He obviously wasn't fit. Richarlison's holding his groin. The fact that Ange is coming out saying the players need help, he shouldn't have to say that. I'm saying this as a Man United fan. It's very obvious. The players need help. Tottenham are in an injury crisis. But Tottenham have messed up big time. They've not backed Ange. They're 27 days into the January window. Your manager is literally coming out saying, I need help. And saying that. And they're not helping him. Oh, they had a look at Kolo Muani, this and that. Tottenham have messed up. They had something to build upon. And they're not. And this is Daniel Levy. And he seems to do this time and time and time again. And I could see why Tottenham fans are absolutely tired. I could see it 100%. Because look at this. This is ridiculous versus Leicester. Reguilon, Moore and Lancashire are your options coming off the bench. Reguilon, who Ange doesn't even want, so let's be honest. He was all right when he came on loan to Man United. Mikey Moore, okay, that's a really good option, but what, a 17-year-old? A 17-year-old, And Lancashire, again, like a good youngster, but is a youngster. Like, Basuma's the only player on there that I think Ange, that isn't a kid that Ange would be like, Like, you look at the injury, he's key. I mean, Richarlison, I think when fit, he does a job, but Solanke's key. Vicario, big loss. The doggy, big loss. Brennan Johnson, I know he gets stick, but massive loss, especially, I think Brennan on the right and Kulusevski in the middle. I think Kulusevski's much better in the middle than the right. Werner, I mean, it probably still is a loss for the legs and the pressing, despite him being poor. Van der Ven, huge loss. Romero is soon back. Romero and Fabregas, big improvement on the ball. 100%. Odegaard, I think, is a bigger loss than Tottenham fans believe. I know he's a new signing and young and raw and hasn't done much yet, but he fits the system. Would give Son some competition. I think Son, if he plays once a week, is better, but the more Son plays, the more fatigued he gets. And Jed Spencer's been one of your best players recently. He was a big loss. He was, he's looked good at left back. He's got him, and the youngsters seem to be doing more than the experienced players. And this is the position Tottenham are in. Now, as of now, Tottenham are sticking with Ange Postecoglou amid absurd injury crisis and are trying to sign at least one player. Are they trying to sign one player, or is it what Man United do when they lose a game? They say they're going to sign someone to try and make the fans calm down online as a PR spin. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But I will say this. They have to sign someone, surely. They have to. We're going to talk about who they could sign. Now, there are some media outlets saying that Ange is set to be sacked today. But I think they're like clickbait media outlets where they don't actually have information, but they're saying, Ange is set to be sacked. Because some sources are saying that, Ange's job's on the line, it's over, he's going to be sacked. Alistair Golden is a reliable source of information. He's saying, as of now, he's being backed. Although they said that about Ten Hag, and a week later he got sacked. They said that Ten Hag was being backed. 4 days later, we played West Ham. Then he got sacked. Ange's not safe because Alistair Gold is saying this. I think it could be over for Ange. I think losing to Everton and losing to Leicester, I think it could be over for Ange. And I think if they don't bring anyone in January, it may be over for Ange. Because if they're backing Ange, they bring him someone in January. If they're not backing Ange, they won't. And if they don't bring him anyone in January, it could be because they're reluctant to spend on Ange because they're probably planning to sack him. I think it could be over for Ange. I really do. But who will Tottenham be signing? Because there's recent links to Kolo Muani, Brian Robbery. I think Tottenham would look at a left back hybrid, but it seems to be they're more focused on attack. Someone that can play maybe left, someone that can play centrally. Marcus Rashford, Evan Ferguson, and João Felix I know are available on loan. Rashford is waiting for Barcelona. He's not really a touch loan winger either. I don't know how we'd work under Ange. Tyler Dibling's linked, but 55 million is a fortune. Cherky could be available for 20 million. Garnacho, you'd have to break the bank for him. Levy won't do that. Dorgu looks Man United bound, but he could give you cover at left back and right wing. Marcus Edwards, Jonathan and David, and Buemo. You've been linked to some players, some better than others. You've also been linked to Cunha, but there's a big race for him. I don't think he's 100% what you need. Links to Eze and other players. It will be interesting. Anyway, Tottenham fans, let me know your thoughts below, but I think your club is messed up big time, and I think it could be over for Ange if he does not get some investment. But I do think with Ange. Can understand if you're sacked. The results aren't good enough, but I just think you have some good players, some good young players. If everybody's fit, Ange played some good football. If you get like Hato in the summer, you could somehow go out there and sign, I don't know, Buemo or Semenyo, and then you go out and you get, because Richarlison can't stay fit, back up for Solanke that can stay fit, maybe another DM in there. I think Tottenham could be in a good position next year with luck from injuries. But it's difficult to tell. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye.